Welcome my people, this is indicator commentary. Thank you for liking, subscribing and sharing all these videos. Remember to do so if you are new here. So today I'm giving you another new video that has a lot to learn. This video has been trending because of a debate that has been online going through concerning a Chinese Jamaican woman made comments suggesting that the Jamaican accent is primarily influenced by Irish accentry rather than African roots. She also argued that people who do not hold a Jamaican passport should not identify themselves as Jamaican. These statements sparkled strong reaction from Jamaicans both at home and across the diaspora. The video we're reacting to today from Indicator Commentary explores this controversy and examines what it means for Jamaicans' identity, history, and culture. So stay tuned as I dive deeper into this video.
Education, I have a bone to pick with you. Why are so many Jamaicans ignorant of their own history? Why so much dunce people in my comment section? Oh my God, people, stop it. The Jamaican accent is not an African dialect. The Jamaican accent, like everything associated with modern Jamaican heritage, is in fact the byproduct of the cultural melting pot that our motto embraces. In fact, in terms of cadence, it's most similar to an Irish accent.
I've been shook enough now, to be honest, since the racing. A bit tired now and the legs are like jelly, but yeah, I suppose we did a bit of celebrating and did the podium thing and got to put on the podium pants as well.
You see, as early as 1656, Oliver Cromwell ordered 2,000 Irish children to be taken to Jamaica and sold to English settlers. The extent of Irish immigration to Jamaica was so prolific in the centuries to follow that 25% of Jamaican citizens can claim Irish ancestry, and this includes Bob Marley and Marcus Garvey. So if you never know, now you know. Again, out of many, one people.
Tired of this narrative. It is simply not true, and I don't know where it started. I don't know who is trying to create this propaganda that Africans don't accept us in the diaspora. It is not true. A great majority of them love us and embrace us and want us to come over there and connect with them. Sure, you have a few that may be saying, oh, you know, don't come over here, but I mean, it's one and two, and most of them are just not in their right minds. Just like you have piece of shit Jamaicans, but I'm not going around and saying, oh, Jamaica is hell because you have a few people who aren't very nice. Check the comment section of the last video that I posted. It is full of comments from the continent, all over the continent. Even on Instagram, I have 50k followers on Instagram. About 90% of them are Africans. Africans love us, especially Jamaicans. Okay, maybe they don't like Black Americans so much, right? And you can understand, you know, I love my Black American brothers and sisters, but y'all are hard to deal with sometimes, especially when you come to other places where other African people are. You know, you come with your entitlement, you come with your attitude, you come with your complaining. Like, it's very difficult to deal with y'all because you're American, you know, and that's just the truth. But we love in the same way, you know, but it's just hard to deal with. But Africans love Jamaicans. They love Jamaicans. Ghana, they act just like us. They actually act like us. That's how much they love us. Come on. And the rest of Ethiopia. So
Number one, Jamaica is not an African nation. It's not a black country. We identify as an ethnically diverse society. People, please just stop it. Out of many, one people, Jamaicans. We do not hyphenate and we do not encourage separation by race. Number two, this one's mine.
You see, one thing about history that you have to know, you always have to open your mind to learn new things that you don't know. Because you meet people that will come with their own versions of the history. However, when it gets to a certain level, you will notice that, Charlie, this thing is getting a little bit biased. And with this particular video, for instance, I was with this woman. But then I saw another video where she was being a little bit biased. where she was talking about the accent of the Jamaicans. The way she framed the whole thing, she made it look like it was mainly influenced by the Irish people and a little bit of the Asians, you understand me, without the Africans. And I mean, we all know the genesis of the whole patois. It's true Jamaica is a collection of different cultures, of different people. But when you look at the population, nobody should tell you that Africans were dominant, apart from the original inhabitants of the land, the Red Ware people, who are the ancestors of the Tainos. Over 900,000 people were brought to this place, most popularly West Africa. The only non-African group of people that dominated the area, apart from the Africans, were the Irish people, who were brought in the 1600s by the British people after they conquered their land. Now, for those of you who don't know, Ireland was the first country to be colonized by the British, even before coming to Africa. But then, unlike the Africans, they came as indentured servants. They signed contracts to work in Jamaica, and that is where they formed what is called the Hiberno English, which is what they brought to Jamaica. Due to proximity and the way they were working with them on the plantation, they taught the West African people who were speaking the Pidgin and the Creole this type of English. This is what they mixed together and then came up with the patois. Now, these Chinese and the Indian people, they came around 1854 after the abolition of the slave trade in 1834, when most of the black people stopped working on the plantation. These Asians were brought to come and replace them. So they also came in as indentured servants. They contributed with their food, the Chinese cuisine and all of that. And then the music. You can't talk about reggae and ska without people like Byron Lee. Even though the rhythm and the pattern came from Africa, the instruments and the studio that they recorded came from these people, the Chinese people. But don't make it look like you played a huge role than anybody. You people are like 1.2.
One of the first things that stood out to me is how emotional this conversation became. And honestly, it's not difficult to understand why. When people discuss language, culture, and identity, they are not just talking about facts and history. They are talking about who they are and where they come from. The claim that Jamaican culture and language are primarily Irish in origin immediately raised concerns among many viewers. Now, it's important to acknowledge that Jamaica has always been a multicultural society. Different groups have contributed to the island development over centuries. That's simply a historical reality. However, what many critics are pointing out is that recognizing multiple influences should never mean minimizing the massive role played by the Africans and their descendants. The Africans' presence in Jamaica was not a small chapter in history. It was central to the creation of modern Jamaica language and culture. When we look at Jamaican music, spirituality, food, tradition, and especially patois, African influences are deeply imprinted throughout. So I can understand why many Jamaicans felt that these comments were overlooking a significant part of their heritage. However, another aspect of this discussion involves the Jamaican diaspora. The suggestion that only people with Jamaican passports should identify as Jamaican sparkled a lot of disagreement. Personally, I think identity is much more complex than a document. There are millions of people around the world whose parents, grandparents, or ancestors came from Jamaica. They may have been born in Jamaica or Canada, the United States, the United Kingdom, or elsewhere, but they were raised with Jamaican tradition, Jamaican values, and Jamaican culture. Many of these individuals support Jamaica, promote Jamaica, and maintain strong connection to the island despite living abroad. To tell those people they are not Jamaican simply because they lack a passport seems like an overly narrow definition of identity. What makes this issue even more interesting is that Jamaican influence extends far beyond its borders. Jamaican music, food, language, and culture have impacted the entire world. The diaspora has played a major role in spreading that influence globally. The video has exposed accusation of what some ancestors call a colonial mentality. This is where the debate becomes particularly sensitive. Critics argue that emphasizing European contribution while downplaying African contribution can unintentionally reinforce old narratives that historically undervalued African achievements and cultural influence. Whether that was the intention behind the original comment or not, many people interpret the statement that way. As a result, the conversation quickly shifted from language and ancestry to deeper questions about races, history, and social identity. I think this highlights an important lesson. Discussion about history require balance and context. Jamaican's story included Africans, Europeans, Asians, indigenous people, and many others. But balance also means recognizing the scale of each group's contribution and the historical realities that shaped the nation. One thing I appreciate from this discussion is that many participants were not arguing against diversity. Instead, they were emphasizing that diversity should not come at the expense of historical truth. Jamaican's national motto, "Out of many, one people," reflects the island's multicultural heritage, but that unity was built through complex historical experiences, including slavery, resistance, resilience, and cultural transformation. Understanding those experiences is essential if we are going to have honest conversations about identity today. Another important point is that social media often rewards controversy. Statements that challenge commonly accepted views tend to spread quickly because they generate strong reactions. Sometimes these debates can be useful because they encourage people to learn more about history and culture. However, they can also create division when discussion becomes more about winning arguments than understanding different perspectives. Now, in conclusion, this controversy reveals that just how passionate Jamaicans are more about their history and identity. It also reminds us that culture is rarely refined by a single influence, a passport, or a social media post. Jamaica is a nation shaped by many people and many experiences, but the contributions and sacrifices of African descendants remain a fundamental part of that story. Recognizing that reality does not diminish anyone else's contribution. It simply acknowledges history. What do you think about this debate? Can someone identify as Jamaican without holding a Jamaican passport? And how should we balance the many influences that helped shape Jamaican culture? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Now, if you enjoyed this reaction, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notification for discussion like this. Thanks for watching, and let's meet in the next video. Thank you.